Hello, this is Paul, the recall guy from Rebuilders Automotive Supply. We're very excited about our program to help you recover defective Takata airbags from your yards. This is part 2 of our mobile app rollout. Today we're going to talk about the menu, which basically involves carting, invoicing, and settings within the app. Once you've logged in, you'll always go to the Search Recall screen. In this particular instance for training, I'd like you to tap on the menu button in the upper left-hand corner. The menu screen will pop up and you'll have 5 items. I'll just go over them very briefly. Obviously, the search is where we just came from, so you can toggle back and forth between search and menu. Save searches is not applicable for recalls. The cart is where we'll spend the most time today, and last but not least, the invoices and settings screens. Tap the cart and that will bring you to the actual shopping cart where you'll have all your airbags listed. I want to bring your attention to several items on this screen. First of all, if you are only doing recalls on your app, then you will simply have the cart recalls at the bottom. However, some of you will be doing cores as well. So you want to make sure for our purposes, for recalls, that you have the cart recalls selected. Next, I want to bring your attention to not only the dollar value, but the number of airbags currently in your cart. As a general business rule, starting out with the app, I'm going to suggest this. Don't try to aggregate 25, 35, 45 airbags. In fact, I like 18 because 18 represents $1,000. It's a nice check to start the process. Once you get through this, you will have basically gone from scanning your VINs, removing the airbags, carting them, then invoicing them and shipping them into RAS and receiving a check. So I'd like you to kind of think of not eating the elephant in one bite, but in small bites. Start off with about 18 bags, invoice them, ship them, get a check in, and you'll be on your way. One other thing I want to identify is that your airbags, as they're removed, are date stamped. So literally you could look at, hey, how many airbags did I pull the first 3 days of the week, or perhaps 5 days in the week. Last but not least, I'm going to have you tap on the little icon in the upper right hand corner, which represents your starting point for invoicing. You'll notice that this screen is similar to the last one. It'll tell you your recall cart value. It will tell you how many parts are in your cart. But you'll notice that not all the airbags are selected. In this particular case, you might want to just cart and invoice 5 of the 10 airbags for whatever reason. As I mentioned in the previous slide, I think to start off with the app, identify a number, work towards that number. I like 18, and then invoice from there. To actually invoice, you're going to tap on the invoice button. And from here, it's going to ask you if you want to invoice just the selected recall cart items or all recall items in the cart. I don't want to make too much of a big deal about this. Again, my theory is if I've pulled 18 bags this week, or if it's 10, you know what? Cart them, invoice them, ship them, done deal. Your selection from there, tap the item. Once you do that, it'll bring up another screen which allows you to then prepare you to ship. Again, I'm very particular that the value is there and the number of airbags is there, recalled parts. You need to make sure that if there's 28 items in your cart, that there are 28 items on your pallet. That way there, your reconciliation in the end will be crisp and clean. I also want to bring your attention to 3 lines here that you could, if you invoice the airbags in your own system, be it Pinnacle, Checkmate, or Hollander, you could put your invoice number there for reference. You can also put your box count, This might be helpful just to reconcile that, hey, I had 28 items in my cart and I had 28 items on my pallet. Last but not least, there's a little area there for notes. Right below that, you'll see ready to ship. You want to definitely tap that to make the whole process complete. Next, tap the sheet with the dollar signs to finalize the invoice, and we'll be on to the next page. So at this point, all you need to do to finalize the invoice is tap on Create. All right, that's awesome. Once you do that, you'll see the message on the screen that says Invoice Created. It'll give you a total dollar value and the RAS invoice number that you will need possibly for future reference. Tap on the OK button and you are done. That will trigger the shipment. It'll trigger the materials coming to you to then package the airbags to put on the pallet. In the beginning, I mentioned there were 5 items on the menu. So the last 2 items are really reference. The first is your invoice screen. So this will list all of the invoices that you have created over time. If there's any question with RAS, you can call and use that reference of the invoice number and the date it was invoiced. The settings screen basically has 2 settings that are applicable to us. The print prices on labels are not applicable. The auto stock number is only if you're doing the RAS core program, not the airbags. And last but not least, display recall alerts. Again, if you are using RAS core, I'm going to suggest that you have this on. So if you go into the core program and enter a VIN, it will flag you and tell you that there is a recall on it. It's a pretty handy tool, and I think if you're using the core program, you'd actually like it. Set it up to begin with. In fact, the default is to have that on, and then if it's annoying, you can always turn it off. I want to thank you very much for participating in the training. I look forward to working with you and, more importantly, to yank that bag. Have a great day.